I'm Harrison Graham. It is time for a Bears Now mailbag from FGB Forever. Is Thomas Brown a viable head coach candidate for this team if Caleb continues to progress under him? The tricky part with this situation is if the offense and Thomas Brown are awesome, like what's the scenario where you fire Flus and just promote Thomas Brown? I guess if the defense keeps collapsing, if Flus keeps making stupid decisions and you go like 7-10, but the offense is awesome, I guess. But even then, you've got to do a full coaching search. I don't think you just promote Thomas Brown. Here's what I think is a more at least plausible scenario. I don't think likely, but more likely than him becoming the head coach. Like, say the Bears hired Mike Vrabel, who's more of like a CEO coach. If he's impressed with Thomas Brown, maybe he hires him as the offensive coordinator, and then he gets someone else as the defensive coordinator. That feels more likely than Thomas Brown just taking over. Now, if you wanted to make him the interim head coach, I would do that immediately. Now, he's calling plays from the booth, so do you want to mess with that after one good game with Caleb? Like, if you fired Flus, I'd rather promote someone else so you don't mess with Brown's spot in the field, because if he's the interim head coach, he has to be on the sideline. Yeah, I'll say this. I'm more inspired from listening to Thomas Brown and seeing the emotion he coaches with in one game than I have been from Matt Eberflus in 2.5 years. What say you? Should Thomas Brown be considered as the Bears head coach? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I do think if the offense keeps playing well and they fire this coaching staff, he would be interviewed. I think he'd be in the interview pool, and I think he'd earn that. He's done head coach interviews before. He's well respected in this league, so yeah, I mean, he wouldn't be at the top of my list to be the head coach, but I'd have no problem interviewing him. Wasim, Flus is still employed is an indictment on Ryan Poles. Yeah, it is. It is. Again, does Ryan Poles have full autonomy to fire him whenever he wants? I don't know. I think in the offseason he does, and if he doesn't, that's a whole different problem. Some people don't think he's allowed to midseason. That's up for debate. I don't think there's a clear answer on that, but he should not have brought him back for a third season. And I think the results speak for themselves, and the process speaks for itself in some of these decisions and how he's made them. Sir Cake 9, do you truly believe that we will fire Flus this offseason? Because I do not. Sadly, I think Ryan is too loyal to him, and that scares me for Caleb. If it continues to go down this path and they bring back Eberflus, I mean, that's actually one of the most mind-boggling things to even just think about. So I just can't think that would happen if they keep losing here, especially if the coaching continues to make major mistakes. But yeah, you hope what happened last year doesn't happen. Like, they have 7 games left. Like, the worst case scenario is going like 4-3, 5-2, get to 7 or 8 wins and being like, they finished strong again. Let's run it back. Year 2 of Caleb, they'll hit the ground running. It's like, let's not be fooled by the same guy twice. Tony Stanton, did Green Bay blitz much yesterday? I didn't notice much blitzing, and our O-line handled that well. I'd have to go back and watch the tape, but I do know on the last pass attempt from Caleb, he identified a blitz, set a 7-man protection. They ended up bringing 7, and he got rid of the ball quickly and hit Keenan Allen on the 12-yard out route to set him up in field goal range. Again, I felt like Caleb was rolling there. He got confidence. I would have let him continue to throw at least one more time. Instead, they ran it and ran the clock down and had the field goal blocked. We know the end of the story. But in that situation, he identified the blitz, handled it well. And as a whole, I thought the offensive line was pretty good against Green Bay. So that's encouraging. Maybe they play well moving forward here. Today's show is sponsored by Rocket Money. Cancel any unnecessary subscriptions you may have with Rocket Money right now. This app will monitor your spending and help lower your bills so you can grow your savings as well. And most Americans believe that they're spending about $62 per month on subscriptions. The reality is that number is closer to $300. That is literally thousands of dollars per year, half of those of which they're subscriptions you've probably forgotten about or you just don't use that frequently anymore. What the Rocket Money app will do is it'll list out all of the subscriptions on your screen once you sync up your bank account at rocketmoney.com/bearsnow. Create your account, and you'll see that all in front of you on one screen. Very interactive app. And you're like, oh, I don't want this streaming service anymore. I don't want this subscription anymore. And all of a sudden, boom, you might be saving $100, $150 per month if you use Rocket Money properly. So I know from personal experience, I've canceled multiple subscriptions with the Rocket Money app, a couple that I forgot about, a couple that I realized I'm just spending too much. I want to scale back. I'm not using this app uh, that frequently anymore. I can always re-download it, re-sign up in the future. And what you do is you click cancel, and with the instructions of a couple of clicks from Rocket Money, you can get that subscription canceled just a few moments. So go to rocketmoney.com/bears now. Download the app today, create an account, and just stay on top of your finances. If you use Rocket Money to its full potential, you can save up to $740 per year with the app's full features. So one more time, rocketmoney.com/bears now. DC Viper have to show Caleb some love. Dude did everything to win that game in the fourth, but Flu screwed him again. Yeah, I mean, you can't really say more. And I've had people DM me, he didn't even throw a touchdown. It's like, dude, like if you get on the goal line, it's not his fault. Like they're gonna hand the ball off. Like they were moving the ball frequently throughout that game. At the end of the game, he takes over, puts you in position to win. Head coach takes the ball out of his hands and settles for a longer field goal, and it gets blocked. I mean, what do you want the guy to do, man? I thought for chunks of that game he outplayed Jordan Love. I know Love had like 30 more yards or whatever. They generated more explosives, but I thought he was pretty good. I thought he was more than good enough to win that game. He put you in position, and the head coach / the field goal unit let you down, and that's unfortunate. Justin Kirk, will Cunningham be our next GM? I like Ian Cunningham. I think he's a GM-worthy candidate in this league. I do not see a scenario where they fire Ryan Poles and promote Ian Cunningham. They are tight. They are really close. I just don't think Cunningham would even do it, if I'm being honest. Okay. Chris Ayers. Flus makes Nagy look like a genius. Got to the postseason. Trubisky to a Pro Bowl alternate, but I hear you. Coach of the year, and Nagy was horrible. Yeah, I think we do. Like, the last year and a half, he was really bad, but he had good moments. And if you just compare resumes, forget, like, what we watched and what we witnessed, it's not even close who the better coach was. I mean, Nagy went 34-31, made the playoffs twice. Matt Eberflus is 14-30. I don't care what the circumstances are. That is not even comparable. I mean, you're talking about a guy who flamed out at the end and clearly needed to be fired versus a guy who very early on, even in that first year when the roster sucked, showed signs of this guy may be in over his head. Subscribe to Bears Now. We got videos all year long. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and we will continue to bring you content. We go live every Monday and Thursday at 4 o'clock Central. That's when we answer your questions like this mailbag video. So if you want to get in on that, join us on Mondays and Thursdays. Eddie Jackson, Eberflus sent the last kick to the league office complaining that there was a penalty. What a joke. Always a scapegoat with him. Yeah, I mean, look, every single team since plays to the league throughout the season on calls they didn't deem were fair. It is kind of just a soft look to, like, I don't think he's like saying that's why we lost, but like he is kind of making it a point to put that out there. It's like, look, man, don't put yourself in that position. Just take matters into your own hands. Don't punt the drive before when it's 4th and 2, 4th and 3 in plus territory. Go take the game. And he played not to lose. And when you play not to lose, you typically lose. Andy Larkin, Barry's brother? Do you think Johnson is more likely to stay in Detroit or leave if he wins the Super Bowl? If he leaves the Super Bowl and doesn't take a head coaching job, I maybe you just don't want to be a head coach. Like if Detroit wins the Super Bowl and he stays there, I wouldn't really get it. He said he had unfinished business there. To me, that's getting to a Super Bowl and potentially winning it. So if they at least get to a Super Bowl and he doesn't take a head coaching job, I don't know. I think he'll be selective. I don't think he'll just take any job. Like I don't think he'd take the Jets job, but I think there will be a couple of openings that are worth exploring. And even amidst the Bears' chaos, I actually think if he's a Caleb believer, I still think this job can be a good one. Rich M, do you think we'll have a top 10 pick in the draft next year? Also, mock draft season incoming. Yeah, we'll probably crank out a mock soon. We did one during the bye week, and they haven't won since. So that probably means we're due for another one. Right now, they're 14th in the draft order standings. There's a lot of really bad teams. Like the Bears are a mess, but there's 9 teams that have won 2 or 3 games. So there's a lot of traffic to get from 14 to even inside the top 10. Yeah, I mean, if the second half, we know the rest of the schedule's tough. So they lose 6 out of 7, go 5-12. I mean, they're going to be picking in the top 10 more than likely. Who you got this week? Did the Bears snap a 4-game losing streak? If you think so, type CHI for the Bears. If not, take MIN for the Vikings. Be a good test for Caleb in the offense. Brian Flores in that defense is tough. Dylan Peterson, what else do you think the front office needs to see to fire Matt midseason? I mean, what else do you have to see? Like, what else? If there's not enough evidence now, when is there going to be? Which is why I think, and look, I'm still going to keep calling for it, but to expect them to fire him midseason, I think, is extremely unlikely. I think the only window where it happens, they lose this week, quick turnaround, Detroit on the road on Thanksgiving. If they lose that one as well, that would be 7 straight losses, 0-3 to start divisional play. You would be 4-9 on the season, and you'd have 10 days before the next game. Like, that could be a window where, hey, let's just do it now. But that's really the only chance left I see just on the schedule alone. Much not even thinking about, like, oh, do the McCaskies, are they even willing to do it? So, yeah, I don't think it happens, but if it does, I think that would be when it does. Mike Nintendo Master, who is your top GM replacement if Poles gets fired? I don't even know, man. Like, I haven't put a lot of thought into GM candidates, but I may have to, so stay tuned. Subscribe. Cranes make gains. Final record prediction, I don't think we win another game. I do think they'll win somewhere between 1 and 3 more games. 2 feels likely. I think 6-11 is where this thing is heading. It's a tough schedule, but look, as much of a train wreck Flus is, if Caleb and the offense play like they did Sunday, they're going to win a game or two. Like, they could win this week against the Vikings. They really could. Sam Darnold has not played as well the last few weeks. The Vikings have struggled to run the football, so if they can contain Aaron Jones, like, Darnold, kind of like Jordan Love, will give you some chances to pick him off. They could win this week. Would I pick it? No, but they could. They play Seattle. San Francisco on the road doesn't feel impossible anymore. They've been kind of a mess. So I'll say they win 2 more games. I hope they're just competitive every week and Caleb plays well and he develops, because at this point, that's really all that matters. All right, give me a follow on social media, both Twitter and Instagram, at HGramNFL. And if you have any more Bears, football, life questions, whatever, hit me up over there. DMs are wide open. Got to catch up on DMs after the Packers game. It's going to be a bloodbath, but I will do that soon. And if you have more questions, fire away.